1999 Honda Odyssey minivan. Through a code P1457, said the canister was leaking. And they're known for not the canister to leak, but this valve to actually leak. It's about a $50 valve if you replace it. What happens is the rust gets all into it, impacted, and separates and starts leaking. After you pull it out, you can double check it. How I did it was you put your finger over top of one section here and blow on the other section. And you do vice versa, put your finger on that one and blow on that section. You know, you could even actually stick a screen in there, do a smoke test, put a little tobacco in there and puff on that. But that's another story. To get these out, it's kind of a pain. The location of it is under the driver's door in the middle of the van, which is behind the catalytic converter, and the exhaust pipe wraps around the passenger side. And this is a little bit more towards the driver's side, but kind of in the center of the van. It's 4 bolts. You take out a splash shield, and then there's a number of other bolts. You can take the entire unit out. You'll see them 10 millimeter. There's one 12 millimeter bolt. You can drop the canister down out. When you get it down, you unplug the wires and the air vacuums and such. Put on a bench. The biggest issue is the Phillips head screws and the parrot that just landed on my shoulder. What's the matter, Sarge? Huh? No, he don't like it when I talk. Anyhow, you would think that they would put these screws into plastic, like with really coarse thread. That's not the case. They're machine screws and Phillips head screws into brass nut certs that are into the plastic. How I got it out was I heated it up with a torch because nothing else was doing it. And I spun the one side out. It worked good. The next side, I heated it up with a torch and went to spin it out. It spun out and pulled out, but it took the bottom of the nut cert with it. It still had the black plastic goo on it, so I crimped it with pliers and spun the screw out, and so the screws were reusable, and took the nut cert and stuck it back into the canister with some silicone or like glue or something, tap it down in nice and tight, and secured it very well. So this way you can reinstall it back in. Getting back to the issue of this thing leaking, what makes me wonder about them leaking, I'm going to take it apart and find out what makes it tick. This unit has 4 points here. You can squeeze them together. 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can tap this plate off. I would imagine. I'll tell you what, I figured I might have this. I should put it up on a steel block and I'll tap down on the pieces, the 4 points, and see if that helps. Oh yeah. 1, 2. Rust is shaking out all over the place. 3, 4. Let's see what makes it tick. First of all, it opened up along the base here. Sorry, it's not too clear. But pry this up and look at all the rust coming out of this thing. Pry that up. Nobody else was taking these things apart. Oh, there it goes. That's why. Because the spring, everything went boing. All right, there's a plunger here. All right, inside. And it looks like it goes in there, and there was a spring, and it seals it. And that P1457 wasn't that this was not functioning, it was the fact that it was leaking. And yeah, that's right, Sarge. And it wasn't this leak, it was leaking out the side here. And there's all mung and stuff in here, and rust. Looks like you could clean that up and get that to reseal. This has to reseal into that. And there's all rust and stuff in there. And so you can see it bled through. I would imagine this could be cleaned, put back together, and it would function. As a matter of fact, what I'll do is I'll shut the camera off I'll clean it up and put it back and see if it is sealed. What do you say, Sarge? Okay. Okay. I found the spring, and by looking at it, the spring, this unit fits in just like this into the spring. And then when you look down inside this unit, you can see that ring down in there. The spring sets down in, and there's like a little spot down in there for it, and this pushes down. You can shut it and blow, and it's sealed. Where the culprit is of the leak is this white gasket that's around here. And I'm going to take that spring and the other seal out. And that gasket fits right into the ring of this thing right here. But it's stuck to this because it's got the rust. You peel it off, it comes right off. And there's like all rust behind it, and this is where the air was leaking. This rubber gasket would go back into this area after you clean it up, of course. So you can fix these things and they'll work. No need to spend the $50. Now that that seal is on there, if you clean this surface on this side, all this rust in here, and make this smooth again, and put it back together, of course with your little spring and plunger, I'm sure it'll work. I'm going to test it, so I just got to know. Okay, I took a roll-lock on a power drill and ground this stuff out, and ground it out in here, and then wire wheeled it and cleaned it with lacquer thinner. To clean down inside here around this plunger, I used a Q-tip, and you can get all down in there around here, and it cleans it up really nice. Just lacquer thinner is the key word on that. Then you've got your little black plunger and your spring, which is stainless steel. They go like this, these two in here, and then you'll see a little divot right there in the center of that plunger. This white piece goes right to that divot, and what it does is this actuator electrically snaps down and it shuts that and up. This was the key factor, is this. Now, to make sure this doesn't rust again, what I'm going to do is, you see you have this groove on the inside of this here where the seal goes. That's great. You can put the seal in there just like it is, and then smear some clear silicone around this metal. This way, when you put it together, the seal, which is this white seal that I also wiped with lacquer thinner, will get locked into the groove and smush right into that silicone, and wait 20 minutes and it's all done and it's sealed. We'll test it when it's sealed. Once I get it back together again, of course. You put it back together again, what you do is just push it through and stick a screwdriver in these things and pry them back apart, and that'll separate them and hold it together. Either that or duct tape, whatever you like. It's all siliconed, and the little spring is laying in there, and the plunger's on top of the spring. And what I'm going to do is you line up, you got the air valve part, which is under my thumb, you go under there, and you have the electrical thing goes on the opposite side, and you just basically line that sucker right up. I'm going to raise it up here. And you put that thing, I don't know if you can see it in there, you put that right in to there, and it goes right down. It fits only in one way. You can see these notches here. You get these metal items, there we go, to protrude through. The key thing is that that is all lined up inside, which that is. It snaps back down in. Now that it's together, I had the silicone on the metal, as we spoke of. So if you silicone this outside here, you're basically, it's a losing battle, because it's going to leak from in between here inside. And you can silicone the living heck out of this thing, and it's still, you're going to have problems. You got to open it up from the looks of it. Now, stick the screwdriver in here, separate them, and make sure it's squeezed nice and tight when you do that, and we'll see if it's good to go. I'll test it. As a matter of fact, I can even test it now. I'll blow into it. Here it goes. No, it holds tight. No air hissing. So it works. This is a fix. Okay, you heard it here first. If you like it, leave a comment. If it helps you, leave 2 comments.